Welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rose and Womble Realtor Paul Fuquay is here to share market facts, the fundamentals of selling, buying, owning, and improving your home, plus interesting experts. Now, here is Paul.
Good afternoon, folks. I hope you're not suffering too badly with the pronounced heat. We do know that there will be some thunder showers sometime later this evening or this afternoon, and I hope that you're not caught in any traffic or in any major rainstorm. I'm Paul Fuquay. I'm a realtor. I've been that realtor since 1996 in this area, and I've had occasion to sell and help people buy a multitude of homes in an entire range of prices, from a $180,000 townhouse to many millions of dollars. And it's been a great joy for me to be able to assist people in their acquisition and disposition of their real estate holdings. My co-host today is once again the wonderful Kim Pimento, who is a broker also with Rose and Womble. Kim, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Now, last week, our last show finished up a 4-week study of the contract. And if you wish to go into the very specifics of a purchase contract as either a buyer or a seller, you can review what we've done and what we did over the past few weeks on our YouTube channel, the Real Estate PB&J Hour. Please go on there, subscribe. It's at no cost. And we certainly hope that during the course of this show, you will feel comfortable in calling into us at 497-1310. That's 757-497-1310. If you have any questions or if you want to query either Kim or myself on a statement we've made or a pronouncement or some dogma of real estate that we've espoused.
Or just give your opinion.
Love to hear it. And
Yeah.
we're up to the last week. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think I was at 187 pro grape jelly in a PB&J, and there were 93 that were pro strawberry jelly, and the marmalade and lingonberries they're non-consequential. But
lingonberries don't even sound good.
Lingonberries are great. They are great. It's with Swedish meatballs. There's nothing better. And, well, let's get back. What is this show about? We're talking the fundamentals of real estate, what you can do as a homeowner, as a prospective buyer, and as a prospective seller. We want to bring to you, in a relaxed environment, off the opinions and experiences which you can help in the process of compiling or reviewing either an offer on a house that you want to buy or reviewing a contract on a house that you want to sell, and also what can be most effective in preparing your property so that you can be successful in the process. Now, the market today is changing. It's changing slowly but surely. It's been a seller's market for the past, how long, Kim? Has it been 14 months or more? And what we're seeing is a slight slowdown in some price ranges, and we're still dealing with it being a seller's market.
Correct. The demand is still there. We're not going to lose demand for a while.
You know, it's funny because in July I've found that in the past July was always slightly slower in buyer traffic, with vacations and schools now broken and people are in the summer routine. But the continued shortage of listings, and it's creeping up a little bit at about 2% per month. That's created a sense of urgency on the part of the buyers that I've seen. The other thing is, and one sign of growth in inventory, is the fact that I've actually seen open house signs over the past couple of weekends.
Yes, we're having a great success with our open houses.
Well, open houses are great sport for real estate agents and prospective buyers. I know if there's one in a neighborhood that I'm going through over a weekend, I'll always stop and go in just to see what is being marketed, how well it's being presented, and what I can learn to help my clients with those from those open houses. And also, I may find something that I have clients for who may well not have been brought to the attention of this property or seen this property. Now, let's get to Kim and the big news. What's the national news from the National Association of Realtors on the real estate market today?
All right. Well, here in Hampton Roads, there are today 4,185 active residential listings, of which 3,348 are single-family homes on the MLS and 837 attached homes, which meaning condos, co-ops, townhouses, quads, and other attached dwellings on the MLS today. Last week, our count was 4,126 total, 3,297 single-family, and 833 of those were attached. This is an increase overall of 1.4%. on week-to-week comparison, which is pretty good when you think. But still, when you think about how many people are in Hampton Roads, and there's only 3,297 or 4,185 active residential listings on the market, that's not very much.
Especially when, if you historically, you can go back, and it was usually almost 3 times that. It may have been, I think in the past 3 years, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000, 9 to 10,000. And now we see that it's at less than half.
Correct.
So the pressure is still there, and the sense of urgency is still there for buyers who are in the market. And I see one thing. What about the properties that are actually available?
Okay, well, the number of properties actually available, meaning they don't have a contract on them, and you could still submit one if you chose to, is 3,051, which is an increase from last week, which was 2,972, or a 3% increase. But again, when you look at the amount of people in the Hampton Roads area, and these numbers do include all of the Hampton Roads area, which is a large area, that's not very many homes.
Now, it's funny because on our MLS, we have northeastern North Carolina. We don't have the Outer Banks, but we do have Currituck, and we have Albemarle, and we do have Moyock and other points west down the 17 corridor. So when we quote these statistics, in many instances, they will incorporate northeastern North Carolina, and there are other times where they will not. It depends on really how we pull it up. And I don't remember how we pull
our MLS in Rain does incorporate parts of Moyock and down in them. So it does have some North Carolina properties in there.
Well, now, look, if you would like to hear more about statistics or talk to us about them or an additional explication, feel free to call us, 757-497-1310. That's live. That's right here. We're also streamed on MoneyTalk1310.com, and you'll be able to go back and reference us on the YouTube channel, the Real Estate PB&J Hour, and it's at no cost to you. What about closings? Remember, folks, a real estate transaction isn't firm, final, and done until the money change hands.
Yep, until the books close.
And that's what a closing is, or the settlement is, and that's the key time in a transaction. And what constitutes a successful sale is the delivery of the deed and the delivery of possession in the form of keys. That's correct. The end of the process.
That's the deed, giving of the keys.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm telling you, that's an old English tradition. The deed was that you had to go out and do something when you bought your house, like, bring them a chicken.
I believe you. Yeah. I believe you.
Or dance around the front yard, something fun. So the actual sales close as of last week for the month of July was 825. And as of this week, that count is 1,460. So it has gone up a little bit. For all of June, we closed 3,984. And in May, 3,300. In April, about 3,700. So not quite sure what July is going to bring because most of our closings will happen in the next 2 weeks.
All right, let me ask you a question. Why do people want to close towards the end of the month?
Prorations of interest, taxes, condo, HOA fees.
Okay, so when a proration means that you're going to prepay, you're not going to have a house payment, right, if you close at the end of July. When's your first house payment?
September.
Okay, so you've got all that time, and that's an entire month where you don't have any mortgage expense, but you have prepaid the interest.
Yeah,
for that
and the taxes.
Time. Right.
Yeah, because the city still wants their taxes, even though the mortgage companies don't get their payment for a month.
Right.
And then you still have to pay your HOA fees, and you still have to pay any taxes like storm water, any of those things.
Okay. But now the other suggestion that I've always made to my buyers and sellers alike is to try and schedule it not the last day of the month, but at least 3 or 4 days prior.
I'll give you a padding in case something happens.
Well, and what can happen, folks, is that the consumer disclosure given you by your lender has to be at final numbers within 10% across the board from what the preliminary estimates were. And if any one of those numbers is off by more than 10%, they have to resubmit it to you for your review. That's 3
additional days.
That's not business days. That's calendar days. Or is it business days?
I believe it's business days.
Business days. So if it's over a weekend.
I think they count Saturdays.
Right. So it is important that you give yourself a cushion, especially if you're bringing in your moving van from St. Louis full of all your niceties ready to move into the house and it can't close. Also, remember that if you're buying in North Carolina, the possession of the property normally does not take place until the deed and the deed of trust have been recorded.
Yes.
In Virginia, that's not the practice.
Correct.
It's not codified, but that's not the practice.
We'll give you the keys, and then it's not recorded usually to the day after.
Because we've actually finished the transaction under common law by delivering the deed and the possession.
Correct.
But in Carolina, they're very strict, and that causes difficulty for people that I've brought down who've bought in the Outer Banks, because they've come down and closed on Friday, thought, well, I can move in my new house Saturday, despite the advice given them, and then they're surprised to find out that they don't have possession of that house, can't move in until Monday. Mm-hmm. That can be a major disappointment.
Yes. Your real estate agent should be telling people that, though.
Well, we do, but sometimes people don't listen, and when
you get excited.
Yeah, and when you're a listing agent, you try and let everybody know, but it's not your responsibility as a listing agent to inform a buyer of exactly what's going on. Now, we're going to take a break. Is it time, Dino? We have five more minutes. All right. Well, what we've discussed in the past 4 weeks has been the litany of the issues in a purchase contract, and we've gone over from what should be the pricing structure for it. Is it automatically list price in this market? What's the importance of the financing description, and what's the value of a larger earnest money deposit, and how do you get the loan approval letter phrased so it treats you more favorably as a buyer, and how does the seller review all this information? And what's the advantage to a seller of having an offer from a cash buyer? We've discussed that, and we're going to be discussing more of this because today we're going to enter into the litany of elements that conspire or help construct a very good approach to the best possible sales price for your house when you put it on the market. But these are the elements we discuss, and we're trying to do this in a fashion so that there's some logic. What happens? What goes into a contract? How do you review a contract? How does a seller review the contract? How does a buyer structure it so it presents the best possible picture? So that's what we've spent 4 weeks doing, and I'm not going to try and recap it all. Is there anything that we didn't cover, Kim, over 4 weeks with Bob Freck here? I mean,
no, Bob loves to cover.
Yeah, but
he's very good though, very detailed.
Very, very much so, and I've always enjoyed working with him. But a couple of the key elements were revolving around inspections. The difference between a walkthrough and a home buyer's, and I've had some inquiries, and there are the other elements such as what's the actual square footage of the living area, and what elements constitute a default, and why is there language of arbitration. Go back and listen to those on the YouTube channel at the Real Estate PB&J Hour. What we haven't got are the interest rates.
Yes, and I have them hot off the press as of today. Non-conforming, which means that's a jumbo loan, conventional usually 5% with 0 points.
Wow.
Conforming 30-year means that's a conventional loan, regular loan, 5.5 with 1 point, meaning a point, remember, is 1% of the sales price.
Loan
amount.
Don't mean to step on you.
Yeah, loan amount. No, that's fine. I'm glad you did. Conforming investment, 25% down, is 5.875% with 2.375 points. So that's still a little steep, but It's doable, I think, for investors. Usually they have cash on hand. FHA, 5.125% with 1 point, and VA, 5.25% with 1 point. Okay. So there you go. They have come down a bit.
So, and remember, folks, the lenders are not in this to be altruistic. They make their living selling you money like lettuce. And that's why they will find and the method best suited for them to sell you money. And part of that is how do they get that rate down so that the homes you want to buy are affordable. Yes. Are we at time now? Well, this is Paul Fuqua and Kim Pimento. We're at the Real Estate PB&J Hour here on Money Talk 1310. We'll be back in a few minutes to discuss what you can do to maximize the marketability of your house.
Now back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rose and Womble Realtor Paul Fuqua gives you the fundamentals of real estate selling, buying, owning, and improving your home.
Well, we're back. You're listening to Paul Fuqua and Kim Pimento, streaming live on MoneyTalk1310.com or 1310 AM, 100.9 FM. If you have any questions, reach us at 757-497-1310. That's 757-497-1310. Our subject today, what we're going to concentrate on, is a list of the fundamentals that you can apply to help your home sell fast and get top dollar. It's not just, well, we'll put it on the market and voila, we'll have 32 buyers offering 10% over list price. What we want to talk about are the simple steps that are key to your being comfortable with not only the process, but also with the steps that you should take and the projected results. Now, the first one we're going to touch on is to know why you're selling. I know you might have a permanent change of station. You might have another baby on the way. But Kim, come in on that. And what do you see as one of the motivating factors and how important it is in terms of knowing why you're selling?
Well, of course, moving because of a job or something. But I think a lot of people, it's just quality of life. Wanting a different atmosphere, change. I think a lot of it maybe you're moving to be closer to your parents or a child. Just anything like that. I think that sometimes it's very emotional for people to be moving, especially if it's downsizing. Mm-hmm. That's a big one right now. They want to downsize, and that's hard.
But I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've had many people who said they're going to downsize, and they end up spending as much money as they had in the other house, and it's not much different.
Downsizing does not mean you're not going to spend the money. Downsizing means you're not going to have quite the square footage, or maybe you're going to have a ranch, or it might be in maybe a really nice retirement type community. It's not particularly the money.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess so. How introspective should a prospective seller be? Let's say that he wants to have a house with more yard. I mean, is that a motivating factor? Yes. Very often?
Mm-hmm. I think especially if you have kids, or a lot of people have dogs now, mm-hmm. and now we're getting into the farm to table. Right. So I think a lot of that generation would like to have gardens, and I think that's kind of coming back, that rural life a little bit for that, the 30, 40-year-olds.
Well, if you know, once you've determined and written down a list of why you're selling, the next thing is you got to figure out where you're going to go, right?
Yes. And decide when.
Yes. Well, and then the other thing is, if you know you're selling so that you can buy another place, it comes into how does that become?
That transition.
Yeah. Because today in this market, it's very difficult to buy a house under a contract that's contingent upon the sale of your house. Generally, what I suggest is that plan A be that we're going to put the house on the market. Once we have a firm loan approved, we're now going to go find that new house, or we'll have already identified that house.
And that's hard in this market because you're competing, so it's not as easy as it was before to get a contract on your house and run out and buy another house.
Yep.
So you really have to plan.
That's important. Remember, that's first step. First step, know why you're selling and know what your plan is, at least in general terms. The second thing is keep your knowledge about your motivation and your price range to yourself.
Yes.
Never at a barbecue or at the swimming pool or the soccer match or the football game or baseball game let a good friend or neighbor know what you're going to be willing to accept as a price.
Right, that can become ammunition for the other side when negotiating, and it spreads like wildfire. You don't, especially in this market. A lot of these houses are, oh, my neighbor's going up for sale, and I know for a fact that she blah 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 blah. So I think that you do have to be careful.
Always. It's your information. Your confidentiality has to be respected by your agent. Share the information only with your agent. And make certain that you tell your agent that this is what your goal is.
Correct. Oh, yes. And never tell anybody what your bottom line is.
Right. You
I wouldn't even tell my agent. Well, to be honest with you, if I was a seller, I would tell a seller, don't even tell your agent what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I don't think you should.
What I try and do
until maybe it's not selling.
I try and tell them, look, these are the bottom lines after all the costs of sale are applied, and you take your pick. But the range of pricing has to be done consistent with the neighborhood, and that's why you have to do your homework. Fundamental number 3: do your homework. When you are considering accepting a recommendation or setting a price on a house, you want to make certain that you've told the world that this is the absolute maximum anyone would have to pay for your house. So if you're sitting in a $450,000 neighborhood and you're going to bring your house at $475,000, that's going to be the maximum that you're going to expect somebody to pay for that house. Correct? I mean, am I going off the wall here a little bit?
I think a little bit in this market you might be, because I think people think they're going to get more.
Well, the problem,
currently that's becoming an issue.
It has become an issue if you're outside the thresholds.
Correct.
And the thresholds, and I've always told my clients, the thresholds are either $5,000, $10,000, $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 levels. If you're in a $500,000 neighborhood, you can't ask for $600,000 because it won't happen.
Correct.
So you have to know what those elements are for your neighborhood. But the other components are what is the draw of the neighborhood and what is the average. And if you don't go through your neighborhood and take a look at what's in there, especially if you're in a neighborhood that is fairly consistent. I think if you look at, for instance, Courthouse Estates in Virginia Beach, very nice development. Dickie Foster did it, and you go through those neighborhoods, and there are 5, 6, 7 different models. There's a lot of similarity, so you don't have this range of lot sizes and home styles that would create a wider range of pricing. Is that
correct? Yeah, I believe that, because they're a little bit more, I don't want to say cookie cutter, but more alike in square footage and number of bathrooms. And now the pools will add some money. A very, very elaborate backyard will add some money. A metal fence. But most homes in those neighborhoods all probably have the metal fence and a pretty nice backyard. But we're talking about really over-the-top backyard. We give you a little bit more money. But, some things that people think will give money is like, well, I put it on a brand new roof. And it's, I heard one of the brokers the other day say, well, how many houses in your neighborhood don't have roofs? It's so really a new roof is you're not going to get that $40,000 back for that new roof. Because every house has to have a roof.
Yes, your house has to have a roof. Where you do achieve a significant increase in value is adding footage by adding another bedroom,
bathroom.
by another bathroom. Those elements, they come back to you in almost a 1-to-1, if not a little better, because they are marketable components. 5 bedrooms generally sell better than a 4-bedroom house in the same neighborhood. 6 bedrooms.
In the larger neighborhoods, for sure.
Yeah, 6 bedrooms, not so much, because people worry about 6 bedrooms. That's too many. I don't know why there's this line of demarcation between what's an acceptable bedroom count of 5 to 6. That's been my experience. The other thing is number of bathrooms.
Yes. Well, with the square footage in the 6 bedrooms versus the 5, I think it's because it's not like the 6-bedroom house is a lot larger. It just has 6 bedrooms versus 5, so they tend to be smaller. So sometimes in those homes that have more bedrooms, the bedrooms are smaller.
Yes, and you lose closet space.
Yeah, lose closet space, and you just the bedrooms just aren't as functioning because of the space inside there.
Well, one of the things, and this is fundamental number 3, do your homework on your neighborhood before even considering a price. Talk to your realtor or realtors about what the market is in your neighborhood, and use recent comps. Comps are comparables. Houses that are similar to yours in size and layout and presentation that have sold in the last 6 months.
Correct.
Because that's what an appraiser will use.
And they usually, another thing that when we were been talking to some appraisers lately about, just when we're trying to find a price for a property, appraisers usually just kind of try to do apples to apples, and they don't go in as much detail. They kind of go square footage, how many bedrooms, just the condition. And if it's not just over the top condition, you don't really get that much for it. But now if you're in a neighborhood that normally doesn't have a really nice backyard with a pool in it, you'd get some money, but then that might be a deterrent, because then who wants to overpay in that type of neighborhood for a very nice neighborhood, a very best backyard and a pool? So you have to be very careful when you're putting in all these elaborate upgrades.
Yes, they do not come back to you one-to-one. Regardless, unless you're talking about an absolutely totally unique property that's got miles and miles of ocean view and things of that nature. But if you can over-improve a house, and you will not get the value from the appraisal, and you won't get the value out of the prospective buyer, because he's in that neighborhood, because that neighborhood has a certain range of prices.
But what it does give you, though, is sellability.
Yes.
And because people today expect granite countertops, white cabinets are a favorite.
Hadn't that changed?
Yeah.
Because they were natural. Yes.
Yes. So, so
and it's more quartz today. I see more requests for quartz.
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't make the rings on it like the granite does. But, in the backyard, in the bathrooms, people like shiplap. They like the tiled showers. So there's certain things that will draw people. So if you do live in a smaller home in a neighborhood that's not one of the elaborate ones, but yet you put some of these special touches in it, yes, your house will sell faster and probably for more money.
Now we're going to keep going on. That was number 3. All right. And number 4, fundamentals 4 and 5 are 4 is go home shopping yourself. Yes. If you're going to be putting your house on the market in the hands of a trusted realtor, whether it's a friend or neighbor or family member, or the guy that sold them down the street, or somebody that you've met or seen or heard about, such as myself or Kim, then you've got to go and ask them to take you to see houses that are similar to yours, and to see how they are prepared for sale. They are your competition.
Yes, and it really does give the seller an idea of other people's homes, especially ones that show well, and what they need to do to their house. It's a good lesson, I think, or learning experience for the sellers.
And I like to take prospective sellers or seller clients to model homes in new construction, because those have been professionally decorated to present the house in the very best light.
Yeah, they have very well. I don't know, sometimes it's so funny that we present that everybody's home looks like a model home. And sometimes it's like, man, I saw it on TikTok the other day, just a normal home, just, stuff on the table.
You haven't seen my house. That's a normal home.
I love, I've heard this one time, long time ago, there's 2 ways that we live in a house. One, when we're selling it, and we don't touch it, we don't eat in there anymore, we go outside to eat, that kind of mentality. And then 2, when we live there on a day-to-day basis. Right. So you have to realize you will be uncomfortable for a little bit, because you'll need to live in your home like you're selling it. And
you also, the other thing is, you have to be prepared to pack everything up, put everything away, flush the toilets, make the beds, and get out in a 2-hour notice because you've got prospective buyers coming through. The biggest aid to real estate agents today is the internet looped lockbox, because you can control access. People agents can't suddenly show up in somebody's front door and want to go through. They have to call for an appointment, and you can code them so that they don't have immediate access. I remember many years ago when the lock boxes weren't so controlled, and you actually carried around a key. And I had a client that I asked two things. I said, we're putting it on the market tomorrow. I'm going to be in the Outer Banks. Please put the key in the box, and I'm going to send people in tomorrow between the hours of 1 to 5. So don't be home, because on the first day, this house is going to get a lot of showings. Okay, so I went off to the Outer Banks to play my golf tournament, and I'm down there, and I get a call I'm on the 4th tee, and there's an agent who says, Paul, I got a problem. I said, what's that? He said, well, your client put a key in the lockbox, but it's the key to her Lincoln. It's not the key to the house. That was problem one.
Maybe the Lincoln came with.
Yeah,
conveyed.
no, it didn't.
Lincoln conveyed.
And so I said, well, look, if the car's there, you're going to have to knock. So knock, knock, knock. Voila. So she came down and she opened the thing, and they didn't end up buying it. But the next day, I put a call in when I had a request for showing.
Were you on the golf course again?
No, as a matter of fact. I was not on the golf course at the time, but I did a lot of business on the golf course. But long story short, I called her and I said, Diane, we have somebody coming in. They're going to be there at 2 o'clock. Make certain that you're out of the house. Is that okay? Yes, that's fine. I'll do it. No problem. Well, somehow between Thursday and Friday, she forgot. And the agent got in, opened up the thing, walked in, taking the people through the house. And as they opened up the master bedroom, there she is in the buff, having just come out of the shower.
Oh, no.
And
I bet that house sold.
It sold, actually. It sold wonderfully. And it's still, I think I sold it one other time to these folks. But anyway, go home shopping yourself. That's fundamental 4. Now, fundamental 5, know when to get an appraisal. When do you suggest that be done by sellers?
Well, normally you don't really need an appraisal up front. You price your home according to your realtor. You and your realtor do some work, price your home. You get a contract on it. The loan company orders the appraisals because they have to be approved by that loan company and approved to do the type of loan which you're taking out, like a VA, FHA. So normally you don't get an appraisal up front. However, when you have an unusual property, maybe a property out in the country that's kind of isolated, or you just have an odd duck somewhere sitting, in a neighborhood, that you want to get an appraisal.
Most of the time, your realtor will give you a range of prices, but if he or she suggests you get an appraisal, follow that recommendation, because the appraiser is going to be much more strict in his or her interpretation of the values that would not normally be covered by a real estate agent. We look at your house for its market value, what the sizzle is that we're going to be marketing to the public. I think it's time for us to break. This is Paul Fuqua. You're listening to the Real Estate PB&J Hour. Please stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple minutes to continue the discussion of the fundamentals of selling a home and preparing to do so.
Now back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9 FM. Rose and Womble Realtor Paul Fuqua gives you the fundamentals of real estate selling, buying, owning, and improving your home.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour. This is Paul Fuqua. You're on Money Talk 1310 AM, 100.9 FM, and MoneyTalk1310.com. Remember, you can also find us on the YouTube channel, the Real Estate PB&J Hour. And if you want to call in and dispute, argue, discuss, console us with regard to any of the statements we've made, the number here is 757-497-1310. I'll repeat it, 757-497-1310. We were on the subject of appraisals. And one of the things during the break that Kim brought up is that there is a difference between a refinance appraisal and a new loan appraisal. You want to go into that in a little?
Well, a new loan is just a little bit more conservative because, it's the bank, they work for the bank, number one, and they just want to make sure that the property you're buying is worth the loan amount that you're getting from them, or the sales price. So often the refi appraisals will be a little bit more generous.
Well, and now number 6 in the tips of what to do when you're dealing with considering putting your house on the market, or once you've made the decision to put your house on the market, you want to consider the tax assessment. Is the tax assessment accurate for people?
Not for the value of your home, it's not.
Okay.
And they go up and down according to your market and the values of your home. The city doesn't usually go into those homes,
no.
And sometimes you don't want the tax assessment to be as high as the value of your home because that's what your taxes are based on.
Well, I've found over the years that in most instances tax assessments are understated.
Understated, except in a few lower areas that probably aren't the most desirable areas. Have become a little bit run down, then you're going to see lower tax assessments, and they'll sell underneath their tax assessment or distressed properties.
Yeah, and assessments are not affected, my understanding, by any of the foreclosures in the neighborhood, or is that not true? Do you know?
I don't think they're affected as far as I know that remember back in 2008 when the prices dropped, and then you would buy a house, get a good deal on it. So you paid $600,000 for it, and it was assessed at $785,000.
Right.
People were running to the city, getting their properties reassessed.
And, I've always asked myself, why would you do that when that is evidence of a market value to which the house will eventually rise? And you're not talking about huge amounts of money on a monthly basis in those property taxes.
Yeah, but some people just focus on that and the taxes.
I understand.
But the tax assessment just kind of gives you, what you do want to check your tax assessment for, though, is if it's correct.
Yeah, is it accurate? Does it have the right footage? Does it have the right bedroom count?
Especially if you have a septic tank. You need that septic tank, the number of bedrooms for that second septic tank certification, and the number of bedrooms in your house to match.
Our next numbers in our list of 31 elements of pricing your home properly in order for it to sell are those that where you have to find a good realtor and rely upon a good realtor, and it's a lot of self-promotion there. I'm going to skip that for right now, other than the fact that one of the fundamentals that I've already stressed is get yourself a realtor who works as hard as you do.
Yes, one who gets out there and works and wants to have your house sell and listens to you.
Absolutely. And
Paul, do you know what a wise man once said?
No.
Nothing.
Oh. Look, I'm using your life is paved with a road full of flat squirrels who couldn't make up their minds. I mean, that's
make a decision.
Yeah, you got to make a decision. That's priceless. And now I got another one. Okay.
Yeah, a realtor who listens to you, I think, is extremely important and can reverberate what you said to them and take that in heart and negotiate the contract on the terms that you want, your desires.
Yeah, the key in my mind is, one, if you're going to deal with somebody as your agent, your representative in this process, which can be emotionally draining, you need someone who, one, has a sense of humor, two, has a body of knowledge, three, has the resources upon which to pull for additional information, four, is willing to work hard, five, you trust well enough that you will allow him or her to look in your bathroom, to look in your closets, to look in the drawers in your kitchen, your medicine cabinet, poke around in your storage area. That person's going to be part of your family until that house is sold and closed. So,
yeah, and you kind of, sometimes I know people have a hard time, especially if it's a family home they're moving out of, is that you got to take that feelings kind of off your shoulders, because you're going to hear some things you probably don't want to hear about your beautiful home. But remember, you're going to live in the home like you're going to sell it. So it's a little bit different.
You have to approach this emotionless, and that is the most difficult element. I have very good clients. for whom I've sold their home, and it's been a wrenching process for them, in part because it was a first, not first home, but the first sizable one in the career, and that was 25 years ago. That they've gone on to much bigger and larger things, but they've retained possession of this. But for her, there were so many memories. And she's instead of retaining the memories, she thinks she's in that stuck position of the house representing the memories instead of the memories representing the memories.
Well, a lot of time it's the things like the Beanie Baby collection in one of those corner units, stuffed to the gills with Beanie Babies. Yes. At one time, that was probably very pleasurable to look at, but right now it's not. We might need to remove the whole cabinet. And the other thing is, Baccarat crystal looks really good, but not when it's shoved into your china cabinet, and you can't, you have to display things properly. It's funny, but it's memories, and it's hard. That was Grandma's Baccarat crystal. You can't get rid of that, but you can pack it up.
One of the other elements that you have to consider, and this was our number 9, that we Kim and I kind of debated how we were going to touch this, but when you're dealing with your realtor and you're choosing the marketing price, you have a goal that you've shared with your agent of what that number is. And normally, instead of it being the sale price, it's the net. How much is coming to you at the end of the process in cold, hard cash? So you have to structure everything for the purposes of the net. And there may be times where you're going to manipulate the pricing structure or the provisions in the listing that will influence that bottom line. And the bottom line is the most critical element, not the sales price. I've seen houses that sold for $25,000 more than the neighbor's house, but they didn't net as much. And I'm not talking about net after they paid off their loan, their mortgage. I'm talking about net before they paid off the loan, and that's the important number. And sometimes it was a consequence of lower offer of closing costs.
Yes.
Or other elements of repairs that were dealt with.
Had to do underneath the house.
There's so many components of this that a $5,000 to $10,000 difference can be in an instant dealt into the whole hand of cards that you're playing financially when you're selling or buying a house. Now, maximizing, number 10, maximizing your home sale potential.
Yes. Well, improve the appearance. I think the first thing you need to do is have a very truthful friend come over and kind of walk through you and tell you the truth. Have your realtor tell you the truth. And remember, first impression is that when they drive up to that house, right. And it drives me crazy to take people up to a very nice house and the windows, or the doors dirty, or that's very important. The windows need to be cleaned on that front porch. No spider webs, no wasp nests. Even if they're very high. So I think that's very important. Curb appeal. That's the first move.
I take this from many years of being involved in marketing, all kinds of things in the past. But you're selling in the house the sizzle. Mm-hmm. And if you go to an expensive restaurant, they love to serve the meals at your table because you get that sense of it being prepared for you. Well, that's what you have to do with your house. You have to prepare the sizzle. The steak is there. It's now, how is it going to smell? How's it going to look? How's it going to feel? And what can you do to create a wow factor? So, yeah,
one thing I've noticed that, if your front doorknob, and especially if you have one of the fancy ones with a curved handle, if it looks old and all the gold color has been worn off from hands on your, opening and shut it, just replace that.
It's about $90.
Yeah, about $90. Just replace it. It's amazing what that and a coat of paint on your front door will do to your entire house.
Well, I want to go back to a minute because my number 11 on our tips to maximize the potential for the sale and the dollars realized therefrom is to rely on other people's judgment. I mean, do you think how many sellers out there will actually call in their best friend and say, "Does my house smell?"
Yeah, really, you have to ask somebody who has a nose to come on over. and maybe not have pets in, but that is the most offensive thing, is to walk into people's homes and it smells like pets. And let me give everybody a tip. If you have a pet and you've got carpeting, maybe upstairs or whatever, and you say, oh, I'm going to clean those carpets before I put my house on the market, vacuum. Please vacuum before you clean those carpets, because otherwise you're going to have a wet dog smell if you don't take the dog hair out of the carpet.
Yeah, number 17 of the fundamentals is smells count.
They do count. But don't overpower smells. That's the other mistake people make, is they go
potpourri.
On the other side.
Quick tale, I had a lovely lady who called me. She was the acquaintance of a friend of mine whose home I'd sold, and she asked me to come through the house because she wanted to put on the market to move into another area where her children were. So I showed up at the door, and it was very well kept. It was beautiful. She had rose bushes, and the little front porch was delightful, and a rocking chair, and all these things. I was, wow, this is going to be great. She opened up the door, and I had to take 3 steps back because the stench of her cats hit me full wave.
Yeah, and ferrets.
Oh, these were cats. They were cats, long-haired cats, short-haired cats. I don't even know how many cats she had, but it smelled like the lion house at the National Zoo.
Yeah, and if you have pets, you have to disclose that, because many people are allergic to them.
Well, I told her very as politely as I could that she has a lovely home, great curb appeal. In fact, I looked around once I kind of became accustomed to the odor, and it was a perfect house, and it was beautifully decorated, but I could not tell her that I could sell this house. And I said to her, until we deal with the pet odor, your cats.
Pet odor?
It was exactly. That's the response. And she almost threw me out of the house. And we have 5 minutes. I can't go on with this.
My goodness. Well, let's just really quick go over this. The number one thing is clean. Replace the bath mats, the kitchen mats. Take up those floor rugs, because if you have beautiful floors, there's no sense hiding them. Right. Like in the entry hall, and the runners.
Let's not race through this stuff. We got shows next week in the week.
Okay.
We're not trying to get it finished. We got 5 minutes left of the airtime.
Okay, let's talk about the garage real quick. I was waiting to get to this one.
Where are we? We were on rely on other people's judgment. That was number 11. You're skipping around, Kim. You're killing me here.
Paul loves checklists.
I do. Hey, I live with checklists. If I can't make an X or a check mark, it doesn't get done. Clean like you've never cleaned before. We've talked about that.
Yeah, and I mean clean. I mean really clean.
Hospital room clean. Kitchen,
and
bathrooms. And don't use
and blinds.
The worst thing you can do is use that stuff in your bathroom that has an after scent that smells like the bathroom has been cleaned at the bus station. You know, what was?
Oh, Lysol.
Lysol. God, please don't use Lysol.
Use Lysol at the bus station. I don't think I've been at a bus station in years.
Well, I was. Look, that's how strong an impact
Paul's
it has.
hanging out at the bus station. I think you're talking about those round discs.
I don't know what they are. All I know is there's a scent of bathrooms that takes me back to my youth when I used to go to the beach on a bus. Public trailways. We'd go up to Rehoboth from Washington, D.C., and I didn't have a car, so I'd get on the bus. And you had to go to the bathroom before you got on the bus, because you sure as hell didn't want to go to the bathroom while you're on those buses. So,
no.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
The bus bathrooms, they're worse than airplane bathrooms.
But clean. And, of course, clean out the garage. Now, I'm a car guy. Garage is important. Well-lighted garage. Even if you have to store stuff, make it look halfway organized. And for gosh sakes, make sure that all the lights work in every room.
You know, I was just thinking, there's a Mile High Club for airplanes, but I don't see it. I've never heard of a Mile Ride Club. I guess the buses just aren't as appealing.
We're lost it. Where are we going with? It is
brought
Thursday.
The bathrooms.
Yeah,
it's your fault.
Well, it's cleaning up the bathrooms. All right, cleaning out the garage. That's where we were. And number 14. We have 2 minutes.
Okay, no, clean out the garage. So we're going back to that.
Okay.
Garages are very important. People love garages. They like to entertain out there. They like to put bars out there. They like to work out. They like to watch TV.
What's the matter with putting cars in garages? That's what they're designed for.
Well, I like to put a car in a garage too, but I'm just saying people like garages. Clean your garage out do not put all your junk in your garage.
Okay. We have 2 minutes left in this thing. So why don't you do the self-promotion on Kim Pimento and the wonderful agents under your control and guidance for Rose and Womble?
All right.
Have at it.
All right. Well, I am the managing broker at the Greenbrier office of Rose and Womble Realty, and I think it's the best office because we are right there by the Greenbrier Country Club. We have beautiful views of the golf course right there centrally located. So our great agents in our office can just zoom you all over Hampton Roads and be there quickly. We have smart, intelligent, fun agents, and just come on out.
How many agents are
About
there?
40.
That's wonderful. I didn't realize. I have my office in the back. I never pay attention to
Yeah, he has a great... Paul has a giant poster of a car by his office. Giant. I mean, huge.
Yeah, I think it's a garage. Anyway, you're listening to the Real Estate PB&J Hour. This is our 27th show. So next week will be 7 months of this blabber, and hopefully somebody has benefited from it other than the station. And we're back to you on Thursday at 5 o'clock on MoneyTalk1310.com, MoneyTalk1310, 100 AM and 100.9 FM. Go to our station, our whatever it is on YouTube, the channel.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah, Real Estate PB&J Hour. And have a wonderful week, and thank you for listening.
Yeah,
Paul Fuqua and Kim Pimento saying bye.
Bye.